Hi, loves. What's coming through today is this theme of an emotional awakening. So, you might be in your emotions a lot, and you might be sort of confused as to why. It also feels like there's this deep call to go inward and sit with your feelings in order to come to some sort of clarity or truth. Perhaps you're somebody who is resistant to doing that, which is so natural and human. So, those are sort of the vibes and themes coming through for this reading. And just like an energy of, yeah, a deep call inward to really tend to your feelings and your inner world. And it might be also at a time where your external or outer world is seemingly, there's no change in it, but you still feel this deep shift within that's causing you to have some sort of outpouring of emotions in whatever way that resonates to you. It doesn't have to be tears or crying. And it just feels like some sort of a deep nudge to that you really feel like you have to listen to in order to shift things and come to some sort of clarity and to bring in something that you've been seeking and deeply desiring. So, if any of that resonates with you, welcome to your reading. I'm just going to set the space and set an intention, and I'm going to invite you to join me. So, may the messages just flow. May they lead us back to what we truly and deeply know as we release the need to fixate and naturally receive whatever resonates. Beautiful. So just taking a breath in so you can get the most of this reading and take what, really resonates with you, because that's where the real gold lies. And with that, I'm also getting that you're really learning to see where the true gold lies. So what I have on this side is the more evident or obvious or conscious energies of this reading. And on this side is perhaps something that's more subtle and hidden, or not so obvious and subconscious energies of this theme of emotional awakening and really being called. Perhaps, for some of you, it's a call, something outside happened that nudged you inward. Could have been something that triggered some sort of outpouring of emotion, sending you so much love, if that's the case. And that's what I'm getting for some of you, but for others, it just feels like even though there's been no apparent shift outward or in your day-to-day life, you just feel a lot of shift happening inward. And it's really asking you to sit with some feelings and emotions that you've been avoiding, that deep within you need to bring some gentle, loving awareness to, and perhaps this, outpouring of emotion that's happening, that's evident, is the call and the nudge you needed to go inward. I'm not saying it's easy in any way, but just to give you some sort of, I feel like, relief that it's not just happening for no reason, or you're, something's wrong or you're going crazy or anything like that. I don't like that word, but it's just what's coming through. I feel like you could use that, a bit of that reassurance that this is happening for a deeper reason. And what you're not seeing is the deeper reason is that this is causing the shift that you've been really praying for and hoping for. Even if you haven't been consciously hoping for it, I feel like you've been really working on yourself or working on things in your life, like and getting your ducks in a row is what I'm getting. Like, just a lot of the kind of masculine or yang energy of doing things and being active is what I feel you've been focused on, but you can't deny that there's just something deep within that you've been craving. And this is not just a craving or desire that's fleeting or based in something protective, or some people say egoic. It's more so a desire that comes from something that you're meant to have, and deep in your soul you're gonna have. And it's time to really set the stage in your life to bring it about. And the way to do that is through going inward and to let your emotions really take the lead right now, which can be really difficult because it's very counterintuitive, especially when you feel like you've been on a roll and kind of really getting things done, and then suddenly all these emotions hit you like a truck, and you have no other choice, it feels like, but to surrender and go within and face the things that you have been in some sort of way resisting or not fully sitting with, like fully being with. And life and the universe has a funny way of working where those are the very things that bring about the clarity and truth that turns the wheel, that brings in the things that you've been deeply desiring. And it's through feeling your emotions that you realize how all the things that you're deeply desiring subconsciously are here now, in their energetic form, in their emotional form. So that's what this emotional awakening feels like. It's an emotional awakening to your own ability to flow with your own emotions and create your own emotional states, which is such a foreign concept when we've been through trauma, especially, something I really feel called to say right now. So it's definitely not something easy, so give yourself so much credit, and then add tax, just give yourself extra credit right now, because especially if you're somebody who has been through complex trauma, it's not easy to sit with those things and find the safety within yourself to surrender in some way, to those emotions and those truths, when those protective parts have been keeping you going in this momentum and on this roll. Because the Judgment card comes right after the Sun in the tarot, so it's like a call to go inward after a period of things just blooming and being active and being in their sort of limelight. And so it feels really counterintuitive to just feel called to go back within after that. But I feel like you're really listening to this nudge in some way, in some form, and it's really, really like the catalyst to helping you turn the wheel. And the more that you sit with these things that you've been avoiding, the more you realize how, wait, actually, it's really not as bad as I thought. And you're finding all these gems that you're alchemizing, in a lighter way, where you can see the truth behind these emotions because you're truly sitting with them and breathing with them. There's a lot of feeling and truth energy in this reading. I felt a bit of more of a active energy as I began this reading, and now I feel like things are really settling and calming down. So that could be something that you resonate with in terms of where you're at right now as you hear this reading. And this emotional awakening is really coming at a time when you need it most. I feel like Spirit is really asking you to trust that, because even though it might feel new, even though it might feel like odd or uncomfortable to be feeling these feelings, if you're not somebody who is used to being very in touch with their emotions, or if you've just been in a phase of life where you've been focused outward and going, getting things done, it can feel really uncomfortable. But it's really showing you how, even though it feels uncomfortable, there's also this sense of deep knowing that, yeah, this is the way through to what I'm truly deeply desiring. And this willingness to be with this new energy of emotional awakening and things coming up to the surface to be felt, to be breathed through. I feel like that's really what you need right now, and Spirit is really asking you to give yourself any and all the support that you need in order to go inward and sit with these feelings. And it doesn't have to look like you crying. Just sit with it and focus on your breath. You don't even have to sit, like you could just even move with it, but placing the awareness on your body with your breath is something that's really, really coming through. That might not make sense to your analytical mind or your thinking mind, but really trusting that your body and your breath know what that means. And really letting that carry you, just the current of your breath carrying you to this wheel of fortune that's just waiting for you to feel it in your present life so you can bring it forward in your physical and conscious and everyday life. And funny enough, I feel like whatever's coming through is gonna also make you like, I'm getting cry tears of joy. So it's like the ultimate form of alchemy, of alchemizing something that started as perhaps sadness and that led to a call to go inward. And that's leading that willingness to go inward and sit with these feelings, to feel and breathe through them, getting this truth through them, is leading to something you've been deeply desiring coming in, that you have an idea of what that is, but there's also so many elements of it that's beyond your deepest, wildest imagination. And you're going to be crying tears of joy when it comes in. And it feels like Spirit wants you to be able to cry those tears of joy, to be able to really feel the joy of whatever this is that's coming in. Because otherwise, we're just going to keep going on to the next thing, right? Like whatever this is so worthy of being fully felt with all of your senses and not just your analyzing and thinking abilities, which are amazing and they can both coexist, right? But I'm getting this feeling that you're somebody who has been heavily relying on those thinking and analyzing abilities, or in this phase of life, or in general. That's just somebody that you are, which totally relate to that, totally understandable. But this nudge also, and this willingness to surrender in some way to this emotional awakening, is just truly brave of you. And trust that it is bringing in this Wheel of Fortune. And you're going to be able to, with this newfound and truefound emotional freedom, feel and truly smell all the roses, which is something that's really an energy that's been coming through for me in my readings. So, yeah. Something else that I really got for this energy was moving from, I think, therefore I am, to I feel, therefore I can be free. It's Audre Lorde that said that. Such a beautiful quote. I think the original quote goes something along the lines of, our white fathers taught us that we think, therefore we are. But the Black mother in each of us teaches us that we feel so we can be free. I'm obviously paraphrasing, but that's the essence of it. I would highly recommend you go look it up if it calls to you or speaks to you, because that is truly something that lately I've also been coming back to in a lot of ways. And I'm so grateful for that quote. I actually wrote it down a few weeks ago to put in front of my recording space for something I'm working on, and it just coming up now is just a beautiful reminder of how, living truly comes from feeling, true living. And we don't have to complicate what feeling and emotions are. I feel like we overcomplicate it with our thinking and our analyzing. So just really returning to that Black mother within each of us, which is such a beautiful way to say, what we call the divine feminine essence or energy that resides within each of us, just like the divine masculine, or the yin and the yang. Really just this call inward, and it's you could be the most, lover of women and supporter of women's rights and still slip into this energy of overly being yang energy or masculine energy dominant in your life. We all do it. You could be a woman and still do it, because we are so entrenched in the energy of the patriarchy, right? The collective energy that forces us to overly rely on doing, and going, which is such a shame, truly. It's not a shame on us, it's a shame on, the fact that that's the systems that we've built and people have built, and people choose to keep fueling because there's so much wisdom to be felt and shared and had and received. So much love that comes through feeling. You feel so you can be free, because when you don't feel, all of that, it's doesn't go away. It doesn't just vanish into thin air because you chose not to acknowledge an emotion's existence. It's still here, it still settles, it's just in the darkness because you've been, not you, but I'm speaking in general, because we in general, right, tend to, which is very human and natural, repress these feelings and emotions. But life is so loving, and the universal divine Black mother, divine feminine, is so loving that she keeps giving us these nudges to go inward, to revisit these things. The path is not a straight line, it's a spiral, because we keep coming back to things that from our thinking mind it can feel like, wait, I've been through this, I've done this, but there's so much wisdom still. You wouldn't be there. It wouldn't be calling to you from deep within you, and also that being reflected outside of you. That wouldn't happen if there wasn't some deep wisdom to be felt, to be received, some deep truth about yourself to be alchemized and seen with love. And you can do all of that with just breathing. Maybe just taking 3 embodied breaths, starting there a day, if it feels too unsafe. Because a little truly goes a long way. It's not logical. You can't think your way out of or into an emotion. And thank God for that. Honestly, thank God for that. I understand some parts of us might be like, oh, I wish I could, because it would be so easy and straightforward, but it would also be so boring. Like, it would be so boring if every truth and wisdom and revelation and clarity that we received, every gift of ours that we reconnected with, was only born out of thinking and analyzing and logicking. Because there's so much magic in feeling. So really trusting that nudges, and just so much kudos to those of you who've been trusting it already. Spirit is really applauding you, because we don't get a lot of external validation for that in our world, or recognition even of it, of all this invisible work, because it is work. It is work to go within and alchemize all these dense energies and emotions into your truth, the truth that it has always been, that will bring in effortlessly and easily all the beautiful things and energies and feelings, truly, right, that we've been craving and deeply desiring. So feel so you can be free, because that is what true freedom is. Because whether you feel it or not, these feelings are unconsciously operating in your life, in your body, in your heart space, in your mind space, right? So true freedom is making the choice to go within, especially in a world that is so focused on keeping us from doing that. And why do you think that is? That's not a coincidence. Because that's where our truth lies. And that's where our power and our wisdom lies. Our self-authority lies. And if we relied on that, then why would we need oppressive systems to oppress us? So really really putting it into that perspective, because what you're doing is no small feat, and it's truly powerful. And I truly hope this can be some confirmation for that, some sort of reassurance and recognition for that, and a nudge that you can trust this deep calling to go inward. And something also that I was getting is that this is really now teaching you to know through feeling instead of analyzing and thinking, which is really powerful, because that's how we were truly meant to know and feel and be and live. That's why feeling is freedom in so many ways than one. It's just so beautiful. I'm kind of like, this is all just hitting me too, in a way, as I consciously keep tuning into my heart space to give this message, because it doesn't feel good to just, refer to my notes or like whatever I analytically thought of and kept in my beautiful ADHD brain to share with you all. Yeah, so really tuning into your own heart intelligence. And if this word, judgment feels off to you, then just like what it really means is an awakening, is, you learning to discern. Because discernment, what is discernment, is judgment that happens through the lens of love, where things are not good or bad or right or wrong, or have a right to exist or don't, where things just are what they are. The lens of love, which is the lens of truth. Because truth is rooted in and founded in love. And love is an emotion. Love is meant to be experienced with your whole being and not just one part of your being. Like, that's such a lose-lose, other than for, the oppressive systems that be. I don't like to say powers because what they have isn't true power. It's not true freedom. What true freedom is what you're doing or what you're being called to do. And that is deeply powerful. And that's really bringing a shift in the tide in your life. And I feel like as we all do this in our collective realities as well, which is reality as well, which is beautiful. So really, like, think of it that way, You're not just feeling these feelings for yourself, like you're shifting something huge. That's really huge. Yeah. It's not a small feat. So this discernment that you are gaining through this emotional awakening, through this, upgrade to your heart intelligence, which is so overlooked and so underrated and so, has so much to offer, I promise you. And when you feel, that's when you're truly living. And so you're learning to discern and take, the steps and decisions from your emotions, because that's what leads you to the truth the more that you sit with them. And trust me, it gets easier the more that you trust these nudges to go inward and sit or flow with your feelings. It doesn't have to be sit. I feel like that's such a overly said narrative in our wellness culture. Sit with your feelings. It's something that's coming through for me now, that, because when I think about my own healing journey, a lot of my own emotional awakening happened through movement, through flow, which just beautifully mirrors the water and blue and truth vibes in this reading and in these cards. So you're learning to take decisions from these, these newfound and truefound flow with your emotions. You're not leaving your emotions out of the picture. You're seeing the value that they bring. And what I wrote down was judgment from emotions and feelings, not of emotions and feelings. And that really resonated with me. So maybe somebody needs that too. Trust that you can know more than you ever have through your emotions and your feelings. Because especially if this reading found you and you've stayed this long, it's really calling to you, and there's something just so beautiful just waiting for you, and also here already in a lot of ways, with the lighter blues, with all that you're alchemizing and feeling through coming to light. You're seeing how all that you've been desiring is present in your life, and it is coming in physically because it has to. When you feel your way through creating your reality, it has to. That's just how the universe works. I don't make the rules. So, yeah, really, really, really trusting that you are feeling all of this so you can be free. And that's beautiful, and bring in this fortune. Fortune favors the bold, and one of the boldest and bravest things you can do in this world is to listen and be so in tune with your emotions. Emotional intelligence just has so much to offer, and I'm in my own personal life still seeing that in so many ways, and I'm just in awe and wonder of it every day and in every way. So I just feel called to get maybe a card or two from the Wisdom of the Oracle to close out this beautiful reading and give you any final clarity and guidance on your journey in this moment, Spirit. So my lovely community can live their most authentic, abundant, and aligned lives. Be their most authentic, abundant, aligned selves. Round and round. Wow. That is just beautiful because of how we talked about the path is a spiral. It's not linear. And we could know that about our healing journeys, but when we really are in it, it just, being reminded of it can feel so refreshing because we are learning that truth. It's so meta. We're learning that truth also from a more embodied perspective. So you can know that, yeah, the path isn't linear, but then you come back to a point that calls you to feel some things that you feel like, hey, I figured that out mentally through my head space, right? But when you feel through it, you realize, wow, the path is not linear. It is round, and there's no straight lines in nature for a reason. That's something that's been really helping me as I've been coming back to personally a point in my own linear path of healing my perfectionism. Because although I've come a long way from it, from healing it, it still shows up in some ways. And that quote really came to me, and it really healed me as I felt through being brought back to my perfectionism. So perhaps that's something that someone else needs to hear as well. That there's no straight lines in nature. There's no hard and fast, rigid rules. All of that stuff is stuff we make up, which is not bad or wrong necessarily, but you get to choose. You get to choose, the structure that you flow in. But flow is the truth of the universe. Another synchronicity that I wanted to mention was how the judgment is 20 and the Wheel of Fortune that came out is 10. So really knowing that whatever you're going through is setting up the foundation for you to receive this and fully feel this Wheel of Fortune. This manifestation, whatever you're calling in. And it's okay if you feel like you're going round and round in your head or logically, because things are moving and flowing truly. And you're meant to be in the round and round path, because that is the true path. You're coming to the truth of how things are, and your thinking and analytical mind is just, naturally taking time to adjust to that. So really, really, I'm getting an emphasis on breathing and tuning into your body and breath at this time. And at all times in this world, truly, but especially right now. And if you're here so far, I feel like this is a good place to close this reading out. Just taking a moment to soak in anything else that's coming up for you. As you breathe and feel, letting your thinking mind take a break, giving it a rest, let it chill on a beach while you just breathe. Soak in the beautiful colors, the images, and tune into the sensations that they make you feel in your body as you breathe and feel and receive these images, these colors, or anything about this energy, even just closing your eyes. And I am sending you so much love on your journey wherever you are. You so got this. And I hope something in here helped you in some way. And I'll see you in the next one.